So first of all, I just wanted to say good morning. Welcome to the biannual Emerging Worlds event at the Media Lab. We've been holding these for the since last year. This is our third. And what I wanted to do first is to give you all a quick recap of what is Emerging Worlds, what are we all about, and then we'll get into some stories about what we've been working on and what we're hoping to get done today. So, Emerging Worlds, for those of you who don't know, and how do I move the slides here? Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Emerging Worlds is a year-round innovation initiative with 5 key tenets that I want you to think about throughout the day, and this is really what makes us unique. Grand challenges. We are going to do a lot of talking about what are grand challenges, and we always start with grand challenges, and we'll talk about what that is. Digital technologies, bottom-up innovation, which is to say innovation with people who are close to the problem and who are, in essence, the beneficiaries of the solutions, and innovation with multiple players in an ecosystem, corporates, government, and academia, and working in pilot sites. And the 5th is impact. We're all about impact for especially social impact. So I thought it would be kind of fun to do this today. I looked at the registration list and realized that we have people in the room from at least 20 different countries, and if I've missed one on the map, I apologize. I didn't get a chance to go through every single name and look at where everybody was from, but we have a really diverse audience here. You're from industry, government, academia, NGOs, and other nonprofits. So just by show of hands, I'm curious, how many of you are from industry? Okay. How many from academia? How many are from government or nonprofits? A few, okay. And some of you wear multiple hats, which is probably also interesting. Maybe there were a few hands that weren't sure. So what I wanted to show you too is that we start with by spotting pressing challenges that affect many people in emerging economies. This past July, we spent a couple of weeks brainstorming in India. We went to 3 cities, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Nasik. And here are some of the challenges that came out of that visit. These challenges then became projects. And you'll see that we've done a lot of work around each of these topics: wearables, climate data, addresses, and there are a few more on the next page, which you'll see health data, smart and efficient objects to improve cities, and digital technologies for the informal sector. There's a lot more behind all of these, so if anybody is curious, we're happy to share. I mentioned digital technologies that leapfrog. So data science and digital technologies enable us to create solutions quickly and leapfrog physical solutions. We probe possible solutions using digital technologies before we settle on one approach. So lots of possibilities once you know where the data is, what it's telling you, and what you can do with it. So some quick history. Many of you know about iNetra. This is an invention that Ramesh Rozgar turned into a successful company. This is a handheld solution designed for people in emerging economies, and especially in rural areas, to get an accurate eyeglass prescription. Reflecting on his innovation experience, he decided that he wanted to empower many people to create solutions for impact at the same time. So, as early as 2013, the LV Prasad Eye Institute in Hyderabad began developing a new generation of innovators. We'll hear from Dr. Rao, who's here today. Thank you, Dr. Rao. He is the chair of the LV Prasad Eye Institute. He will share his story of how an innovation lab that is now on the first floor of the hospital is now integral to the success of one of the most advanced and busiest eye hospitals in the world. They are re-engineering the eye in order to enable all to see. Next, we have a team at the Welingkar Institute, also known as the WE School in Mumbai. This is an organization that has really become friends with us. They are working on data-driven diagnostic tools. And papers are being published on some of the solutions there, including imaging and diagnostic tools for sleep apnea, skin health, and ear imaging. Some of you may have heard about the Kumbhathon. This is an initiative that we started a few years back in Nasik in India, which is a few hours from Mumbai. It began as a series of events, workshops, to develop innovation, talent, and solutions for the Kumbha Mela, which came to Nasik in August 2015. So when 30 million people visited this city of 1.5 million, the goal was to use data science and digital technologies to enable a safe and positive experience. If you can imagine 30 million people coming to a city of 1.5 million, this was a pop-up city at an incredible scale. And so innovators created solutions that utilized and leveraged mobile phones, including crowd management, epidemic tracking, Medi-tracking, all shops online, and food distribution. And if you look closely, you'll see that there are a few people holding cell phones. This was a way that we could work with them and enable them to be empowered. So lots of fun things happened during those Kumbhathons. Over 1,000 innovators have participated in these events over 18 months. Much credit was given to the innovators and the innovation culture that sprung up in Nasik. And I wanted to show you too. So they helped make the Kumbh Mela the safest on record. You'll see that with 30 million people, there were no major incidents. It was a very successful event, and in fact, it was the safest major event in India ever recorded. So a cohort of over 40 government officials visited the Media Lab last October and shared their success story right here at the Media Lab on the stage. It was very exciting. So in March of this year, the TCS Foundation, Tata Consultancy Services Foundation, opened the DISC Center, Digital Impact Square, in Nasik. About 50 innovators are working hard to solve grand challenges across many sectors, all with digital technologies. We'll hear from a few people from TCS later this morning. And if you'd like to speak with any of the innovators at DISC, they are actually watching the proceedings here on our screen. And please feel free to engage with them on the monitor during the break. The first cohort of innovators recently concluded their first 6-month internships, and they're doing great work. So thank you to everybody. Actually, they just went off, but anyway. So many of you are aware that Ramesh was rewarded the LemelsonMIT Prize last week. Congratulations, Ramesh, for your hard work and breakthroughs in both camera culture and the emerging world's innovation model. You are an inspiration to all of us. So Ramesh is now using his platform to encourage even more peer-to-peer innovation worldwide. This is Ramesh on stage last week at MTech, which is a big event that was held here at MIT. So this morning, we will hear from several of the faculty members who are part of the Emerging Worlds Coalition at the Media Lab. You'll hear from Ramesh, Sandy Pentland, Kent Larson, Iyad Rahwan, and Cesar Hidalgo. This afternoon, we'll have an opportunity to identify potential projects for all of us in Emerging Worlds. So now it's our turn to dream. This is one of the young innovators who is actually a scientist here at the Media Lab who came with us to India in July. We will be doing some brainstorming together, and the world is our lab. We have 4 broad topics to kick off discussions this afternoon. The first is scaling data for development. How can private data, phone, telco, bank, etc., be used to guide and accelerate development? The second is wearables, cameras, and sensors for social good. The third is empowering citizens for smart cities in emerging economies, facilitating decision-making and community engagement using real-time simulation, physical models, and augmented reality. And then the fourth is data and privacy, machine learning for health. So what we'll be looking for from all of you is to help us convert these broad concepts into challenges that we can pursue together. We have a process to facilitate the afternoon sessions. There are 4 steps. The first is a resource map. So you'll be documenting what all the resources are that are part of this: people, organizations, users, beneficiaries, breakthroughs, and risks. You'll be creating a problem canvas, a solution canvas, and a findings plot that will help us to determine where the best starting points are. Don't worry, we have templates, and knowledgeable experts will facilitate each session. So here's the schedule for today. Following me this morning is Ramesh Rozgar. I'm not sure if he's actually going to be speaking to us because he lost his voice. So we may have a proxy. We have him by proxy on video, but you will hear from him. You just have to listen very carefully because he's in whisper mode. Then we'll have a keynote by Bill Aulette of the Martin Trust Center. Bill will share his thoughts on the transition from innovator to entrepreneur. Then we'll have some enlightening talks from 4 Media Lab faculty who are in the coalition, as well as Lita Nelson, who retired earlier this year from her position as director of the Technology Licensing Office, where she worked for about 30 years. Lita will share some thoughts with us on IP for open innovation. We'll take a short break, and then we'll wrap up the enlightening talks before lunch. And then we will have 3 speakers from different organizations who are using the Emerging Worlds model in different ways. We'll hear from Dr. Rao of the LV Prasad Eye Institute in Hyderabad, from Hanumantha Rao, Lakshmi Singh, and Radhavan Srinivas of TCS, and then from Paulo Shore of Sao Paulo, Brazil. So this afternoon, here's how it works. We'll have 2 concurrent brainstorming sessions at 1 p.m., followed by a panel recap. Then we'll have 2 more concurrent sessions from 2:30 to 3:30, followed by a 30-minute recap or panel. So you'll get a chance to choose. You'll pick one of the first 2 and one of the second 2 to attend. And so I just wanted to say thank you again for coming. This should be a really exciting day. We hope to conclude with some new grand challenges that will inspire us all to act. So next up is Ramesh. Let me do an introduction, and then instead of Ramesh speaking, I believe that we have a video. Sorry? Okay, Ramesh is going to speak for 1 minute. So let me introduce Ramesh. Ramesh is director of the Camera Culture Research Group at the Media Lab, and he's associate professor of media arts and sciences at MIT. He's a pioneer in vision technologies and invention for social impact. The life and career of Ramesh Rozgar, PhD, is dedicated to creating impact through disruptive, high-tech inventions. He's a researcher, inventor, mentor, entrepreneur, and a change maker. He combines the best of the academic and entrepreneurial worlds to achieve milestones in improving the lives and health of people in industrial and developing societies and economies. He is the 2016 recipient of the LemelsonMIT Prize. So everybody please welcome Ramesh Rozgar.
Thank you, Beth. So I lost my voice about 4 days ago, but everybody can hear me. Okay. So, but I won't subject you to this torture for too long. So I just wanted to thank everybody for being here. It's an amazing, amazing feeling to see how far we have come, and the talent we have and the energy we have in combining technological approaches for social good. At the same time, looking at billion-dollar opportunities that can transform our world. So really looking at what are some billion-dollar problems that can impact billions of lives. And today we are here under the Emerging Worlds Special Interest Group, which is based here at MIT Media Lab, along with many of my colleagues and faculty and PI and innovators. I think the two main things I want to emphasize. One is that it's a truly co-innovation model with pilot sites. A lot of our partners who are here. That makes it very exciting. And the second is that the way we choose the problems is very critical. So most of the day today we're going to spend talking about our philosophy on spotting problems and probing solutions. So the spot probe method, and we hope you'll participate in that, but also take it back with you in your own organizations for continued collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. So
and computation and machine learning to be able to read through these pages as well. And I encourage you to go to our website, look at all the videos and projects, and most of the source code is online as well. And then we can use the femtophotography concept also for ambient Wi-Fi by exploiting the time of flight between the routers and the receivers, the emitters and receivers. In this case, in a washroom where you may not have, you may not want cameras, but you still want to interact with the space. To make the invisible visible of what's inside our own eye, which is measuring the parameters, a few years ago, we had an idea to compute the refractive index of the eye. And eventually, it turned out that we can actually use a mobile phone that goes into a binocular. You look through it, click on a few buttons, and you get prescription for your eyeglasses, your nearsightedness, your farsightedness, and astigmatism, and can also scan for your cataract. And it's actually implementing a Shark-Herdman wavefront sensor that you would see in a multi-tens of thousands of dollar instrument without expensive lasers or sensors. And so with this solution, after we spun it out, we realized that this is a major need. 2.5 billion people in the world who need glasses don't wear them, which of course impacts their education and livelihood and so on. So what is really heartening is that the product from this company is being used in many locations throughout the world, including underserved communities, while the company is still making millions of dollars in revenue. And in our group at MIT, we have taken that one step further by using this concept of a selfie. You know, a selfie is possible because you have a screen. An eye selfie is an idea that letting the passenger, which is a health worker, take a picture for you. We can actually do it ourselves by looking through a binocular where we give you very straightforward cues, and then we can take a picture to look at the back of your eye, your retina, look at the hemodynamics, and the blood flow can help us predict systemic conditions like diabetes or hypertension and so on. And this is led by Tristan Swedish and others in the group. So as you can see, I'm really blessed with an amazing team here, right here on the third floor of the Media Lab. We always have more concepts, more ideas than we can actually implement through one master's student or one PhD thesis at a time. And so we realized that we have these dozens of ideas, for example, to bring solutions for the visually challenged. And we need to start finding collaborators and other inventors who can continue to take this forward. That led to this issue of how do we make visible really talented minds who might want to work with us. And so we tried a few approaches, and most of them failed, but a few actually worked. And so we have taken that over the last 4 years and refined it, and is now we are able to move forward in many places. So I just want to give you a glimpse of some of these efforts. And the punchline here is that the effort is called Reddicks, and it's a peer-to-peer invention model. If you're familiar with a flipped classroom model, this is a flipped invention model. I'm really glad that the Lemelson Foundation and the LemelsonMIT program is an amazing platform that's promoting invention, and this flipped invention model may be the one that can take us further. And the key idea here is that for a classic inventor, you have to worry about 3 main things: to form a team, to refine the problem, discover, refine, and articulate the problem completely on your own, and also come up with a solution that's a right match for that problem. And if you want to take these 3 pain points completely away from it and use that in a very different structure. So I encourage you to go to our website and see how we are doing that. So just to give you a quick glimpse with some pictures, Reddicks and the hubs are operational in many parts of the world. So for example, in Hyderabad, we're looking at solutions for the visual blind. These have already launched, neonatal perimetry, or solutions for pupillary reactions. And this flipped invention model is already functional there. In Mumbai, we're looking at sleep apnea, a hearing challenge, or oral conditions. And that's focusing on many areas of health over there. And the Kumbha Mela, which is 30 million people in a large religious congregation, challenges in crowds and traffic, using cell phone tower data, using blockchain, using crowd counters, and so on. And a lot of the solutions have been launched as well. And then DISC, which is in collaboration with TCS Foundation, looking at about 12 inventions right now in parallel with multiple teams, and just 2 of them kind of monetizing garbage, so it gets eliminated as well as can be monetized, and also looking at new models for blood supply chain. As you can see, it's a massive challenge in many of these places. And right here at MIT, as Jason mentioned, the Emerging Worlds is a new special group that we have launched, and that allows us to work with many corporate entities. And some of the efforts we're looking at are really digital identity. What does it mean to create a street address for every person on Earth? It turns out 80% of the world's population has no street names and, of course, no street addresses. And that's keeping them away from a digital economy or credit or disaster management or even ambulance delivery in a timely manner. So we're solving that through technologies that we have heard yesterday and will hear tomorrow. And also we're thinking about wearables not for fitness, but wearables that can allow a lot of digital solutions for schools, for hospitals, for transportation, for public distribution, and so on. So I think moving forward to empower these young inventors innovating for billions, we have to realize that the labs are not just universities or institutions, but the whole world is our lab. And to support this peer-to-peer invention model, this flipped invention model, we have to realize that we should really be celebrating the world as our lab. And Reddicks, hopefully, is a platform that can provide these things. And a component of that is discovery of this talent, and another component of that is how to support that, which is a flipped venture funding model. And please go to our website to look at the details. So I think when it comes to making invisible visible, we have to realize that anybody, you don't have to be in a top institute, anybody can go invent and solve problems. I think the tools are missing, and I'm very glad that through this award, through this recognition, we can amplify the message of peer-to-peer invention. Thank you.
Ramesh, what?
Thank you, Ramesh, for your great words. So I wanted to introduce Jon Warner. Jon has is really one of the masterminds behind starting the Emerging Worlds effort from the very beginning. He's got an unbelievable reserve of energy and enthusiasm, and for those of you who haven't met him, I think you'll really appreciate what he has to say. Without further ado, here's Jon.
So I'm sort of, yeah. No, I'm really proud of this community and what's possible. And I think the fact that Ramesh was just honored with the Lemelson Prize actually helps legitimize the movement that we're all part of. And you know, this Reddicks, and if you don't know what Reddicks stands for, Rethinking Engineering Design Execution, it's a platform where all of us here, if we get people onto that platform, great things can happen. And I don't know much about Miss America contest. It's been in the news a little bit lately. But Ramesh has a year to kind of travel talking about this Lemelson Award. It's like the highest honor that MIT gives, and some of the greats have gotten it. But I think in the past, the people who've received it, they haven't used it as a platform to further a movement. And I think all of us here from all those different places that Beth pointed out, we can help further this movement. And this bottom-up innovation, I think, is something that's going to catch a lot of people's attention. And as we think about Silicon Valley, and that's the gold standard for creating places like Facebook, I think the Silicon Valley of bottom-up innovation is not going to be centered in one place, but it's going to be facilitated in all sorts of different places. And by creating a powerful network, the things that work can spread through the network, the things that don't can be shut down. One thing I'd like you all to do is, instead of saying, I know Ramesh and I know someone who got the Lemelson, I think all of us who are connected with this movement should feel like we have license to kind of further the RedX effort. Does that raise your hand if that makes a little bit of sense? Okay, so I think this platform, a lot of it depends on belief. That getting people who have technical skills with clinicians, with government people with data, working together can come up with things. And I think there's a lot of people that don't believe that can get big results. And I think this inverted venture model that Ramesh has talked about is foundational for that. And so one thing I would challenge you all who are here today is become really facile with these theories, and then start spreading them and start innovating on them and start helping to contribute to this strategy to have big impact. And we're here, this is like some of the nicest real estate looking over at the Charles River, but this is really about having impact for billions around the globe. So I didn't really have formal remarks. This was sort of a filler because of the video, but I am really proud of the talent that's in this room. And at the breaks, I think while you're going to hear from some great people here, it's really people connecting during the breaks. And I think the power of this platform is people working together. But to everyone here, thank you. And especially thank you to Dr. Rao, because I think a lot of this model, Ramesh, when he started working with LV Prasad, kind of realized the potential of this and then started scaling it. Now there are 5 hubs, and I think in a year from now, that could grow and it could be exponential, and it'll be great, and the world will turn faster. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jon.